Why does it hurt so much to be alive? Not just the fleeting pains, the disappointments, the betrayals, the rejections, but that deeper ache, the one that lives quietly in the soul, the one we rarely speak of even to ourselves, the ache that comes when everything falls apart, or worse, when nothing seems to matter at all. She sat in silence, not because she had nothing to say, but because language had run out of meaning. He stared at the ceiling, wondering if life was always supposed to feel like waiting for something that never comes. We all reach that moment, somewhere between the collapse and the next breath, when we ask, why me? But maybe the more honest question is, why must we suffer at all? And if the universe is not cruel, if life is not meaningless, then what sacred force allows so much pain to exist? What if pain isn't punishment, but a path? There comes a time when the ground beneath you breaks. You lose what you thought you couldn't live without, a relationship, a dream, a version of yourself. And in that collapse, the illusion of control slips through your fingers. At first, you resist. You try to fix it, rebuild the structure, glue the pieces of your former life back into place. But something has already shifted. What once comforted now confines. What once made sense now feels hollow. And no matter how hard you try to go back to who you were, something, some deep and ancient knowing, whispers that you cannot. This is the beginning of the descent, the sacred unraveling, the slow and necessary death of the false self. You are not being punished. You are being stripped bare. Because the soul does not evolve through comfort. It awakens through fire. In the in-between, between who you were and who you're becoming, there is silence. Not peace, not yet, but a strange, aching silence. This is the wilderness. There are no roadmaps here, only questions that echo louder at night. You look for signs, for messages, for something to hold on to, but everything feels out of reach. Your old patterns no longer work. The people who once understood you don't. Your ambitions feel foreign, your reflection unfamiliar. This is where the ego fights hardest. It begs you to numb the ache, to chase the old highs, to control what is meant to be surrendered. But if you listen closely, beneath the noise of fear, there is a pulse, a presence, a stillness. The soul does not shout, it waits. It waits for you to stop searching and start seeing. Because what you're looking for isn't out there. It's hidden in the very pain you've been trying to escape. The ego does not go quietly. It clings to identity like a shipwrecked sailor clings to driftwood, insisting, "This is who I am. This is what I need. This is how the world must be." But the universe has other plans. Not to destroy you, but to return you to yourself. And so the shell begins to crack. Not all at once, not cleanly, but in fragments, through heartbreak, failure, confusion, through the things you never wanted, but now cannot unlive. Each crack is sacred. Each fracture reveals the hollowness of what once seemed whole. It is terrifying, and it is necessary, because the shell must break before the light can enter, before the soul can emerge. The ego says, "I am what I achieve. I am what I possess. I am how others see me." But when all of that falls away, something ancient stirs beneath the wreckage, something that was never born and cannot die. The true self, not a role you play, not a name or story, but the silent witness behind every thought, the still presence behind every breath. This is not the end. It is the beginning, disguised as loss. There is a moment, after the fire has burned everything false, that you stop trying to become anything. You sit in stillness, not because you have found all the answers, but because the questions themselves have softened. The need to control loosens its grip. The inner war quiets. This is not the return of the old self. It is the arrival of the one who has always been waiting. And when you meet this version of yourself, this deeper, unshakable essence, you realize the pain was never the enemy. It was the invitation. You do not become enlightened by escaping the human experience. You awaken by descending fully into it, feeling it all, losing everything you thought you were, until only truth remains. The universe puts you through so much pain, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it longs for you to wake up, not just to your potential, but to your presence, not just to your purpose, but to your being. And so, you return, not in triumph, not with fireworks or fanfare, but quietly, silently, like dawn after a long, dark night. You return to the same life, but with new eyes. What once felt unbearable is now seen as holy. What once felt meaningless now hums with quiet purpose. You no longer chase happiness like a shadow on the wall. You no longer bargain with the universe for certainty. You begin to trust the invisible rhythm beneath it all. Because something in you has shifted. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" but instead, "What is this shaping in me?" This is the beginning of wisdom, the awareness that suffering was not punishment, but preparation. You begin to love more honestly. You speak more slowly. You carry grief like a sacred relic, not a wound. You become a mirror, reflecting peace to those still caught in the storm. And perhaps most of all, you begin to live not from fear, but from soul. A life not based on performance, but presence. Not on striving, but surrender. The universe does not speak in words. It speaks in transformation. It speaks in endings that give birth to beginnings. It speaks in the echo of things you thought were gone, but were only returning in a new form. Pain is one of its most ancient languages, because when words fail, pain awakens. It strips away illusion. It forces honesty. It demands that you stop and feel and see. Not the surface of things, but the soul of them. That is its sacred task. And when you accept that, when you no longer resist what aches, but instead walk through it with reverence, something miraculous happens. You begin to hear life again. The whisper of the wind becomes a prayer. The warmth of the sun feels like grace. The ordinary becomes holy. You are no longer waiting to be saved. You have become the place where salvation lives. And so, if you find yourself in pain right now, if you are tired, lost, or unraveling, let this truth echo within you. The fire was never meant to burn you. It was meant to reveal the gold hidden beneath your fear. The book of becoming. Let your pain become your teacher. Let your loss become your map. Let your surrender become your strength. And remember, the universe breaks you only to rebuild you, closer to truth, closer to love, closer to home. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are becoming.